lecture I will briefly describe bands in higher dimensions. We will not be able to do too much quantitatively here. Okay. So, I will just show it very schematically. Okay. So, week 11 lecture 4 will be bands in higher dimensions. So, to understand bands in higher dimensions, recall that the band structure is basically given by energy as a function of k. Okay, energy as a function of k. Okay, in 1D this k vector was just k in 1D. Okay. Now, in 2D and 3D k will be a vector. Okay. So, now what can you say about this vector? Okay. So, k is a vector in the space of all wave vectors. So, the space of all vectors is called reciprocal space. Okay. So, reciprocal space is like the space of all possible k vectors, okay, just as the real space is the space of all possible r vectors. Okay. Now, the reciprocal lattice is a lattice in reciprocal space, just as the Brillouin lattice is a lattice in real space. So, a reciprocal lattice is a lattice in reciprocal space, okay, and it is characterized by lattice translation vector k. K is a reciprocal lattice translation vector. Okay, and we know that the reciprocal lattice is also a Brillouin lattice. So, what does that mean? That means that if you are looking in this reciprocal in this space of all wave vectors, okay, so instead of having, so in real space, so this is real space, okay, you have your coordinates x, y, z, or rather I will put this as x, y, z, and you have this lattice in real space, Brillouin lattice in real space, some lattice. I am just showing a few points just to indicate that there is a Brillouin lattice in. Let me show it in a different color, it will be better. So, this is your Brillouin lattice in real, some Brillouin lattice in real space. Okay, so this is a lattice which is the ordered arrangement of points in real space. So, this is called the Brillouin lattice. Now, in reciprocal space, it's actually exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing. I mean, and when I say exactly the same thing, I actually mean it's pretty much identical. In reciprocal space, you have kx, ky, and kz. Okay, instead of having x, y, z, you have kx, ky, and kz, and again you have some lattice. Which is called the reciprocal lattice. Okay, this is supposed to be a lattice, and it is just like a Brillouin lattice. It is an ordered arrangement of points, and each point is identical to the other. Okay. So, this is our reciprocal lattice, and essentially just as the Brillouin lattice is characterized by a lattice translation vector r. Okay, this is characterized by a lattice translation vector k. Okay. So, k. So, essentially the reciprocal lattice and the Brillouin lattice are the same thing, only thing this is in reciprocal space. Okay. Now, where things get interesting is that corresponding to a Brillouin lattice, okay, there is a reciprocal lattice. So, corresponding to a given Brillouin lattice, there is a reciprocal lattice. Okay. Now, if your Brillouin lattice is simple cubic, then the reciprocal lattice is also simple cubic. If your Brillouin lattice is FCC, then the reciprocal lattice is BCC. If the Brillouin lattice is BCC, then the reciprocal lattice is FCC. Okay. But whatever it is some lattice, reciprocal lattice is some lattice. Okay. And if it is a lattice, then it has a lattice translation vectors. Okay. But there is also a unit cell. Okay, and you can choose unit cell of your choice. Okay. So, there will always be a unit cell for this reciprocal lattice. So, I can just show some unit cell. Okay, that might be the unit cell. Okay. And depending on what the reciprocal lattice is, you can choose different unit cells. Okay. Now, one particular unit cell, okay, which is of interest to us is called the Wigner seat cell. Okay, and so this Wigner seat cell is a unit cell that is formed by taking intersections of several surfaces. Okay. And just to show you in 2 dimensions. Okay. So let us show in 2 dimensions. Okay. So, the way you form the Wigner seat cell is, okay, let us consider a square lattice. Okay. If you have a square lattice, let me show one more set of points. Okay, let me show this set of points. Now let us take the point. How do you construct the Wigner seat cell? So, we take any one point. Okay, let us say this point. Okay, Wigner seat cell, by the way, it contains only one point. Contains exactly one point. Okay. And it has all the symmetries of the lattice. So, it contains exactly one point and it has all the symmetries of the lattice. So, how do you construct it? So, suppose you take this point to the center, okay, then you see that its closest neighbors are this atom. So now if you take this segment joining the atom, joining the center atom to its nearest neighbor, and you bisect it. Okay, you bisect it with a line. In 2D, it is just a line. Okay, you will get something like this. Okay, now you do this again in this. You do this for the next neighbor, you will get another line like this. You do it for the third neighbor, you will get a line like this. You do it for a fourth neighbor, you will get a line like this. Okay. Now, you do the same for the next nearest neighbor. So, here let me emphasize that we bisected each of these 4 nearest neighbors. Okay, so, we bisected the segment joining these nearest neighbors and we got a grid like this. Now, if you take the next 2 nearest neighbors, that is these 4 atoms are the next 2 nearest neighbors, and now you bisect this segment. Okay, then you will get something like this. You will get something like this. Okay. then you go to the next to next nearest neighbors, and that is these are the next to next nearest neighbors. Okay. Now, if you bisect the segment joining the central atom to these, you will get something like this. Okay. And now I will just show one more, okay, that is quite illustrative. Okay. Let me take the next to next nearest neighbor. So, I will take this one. So, after this, now there are not only 4, but there are 8 next to next nearest neighbors. Okay. Now, you consider this segment joining this to the central atom and you bisect it, okay, and what you will get is something that looks like okay. So, I just bisected the segment joining this atom to this atom, and I will get this purple line. I do the same for these 2 atoms, and now I will get another purple line that looks like okay, and you can do the same. Okay, you will get a purple line that looks similarly. You will get 2 purple lines. Okay. And you will get on this side also. Okay. Now, you ask what is the intersection of all these, okay, and the answer you will get is this. This is the intersection of all these, and this intersection, okay, is called the Wigner-Seed cell, and this is also called the first Brillouin zone. So, Wigner-Seed cell, okay, and the first Brillouin zone is the Wigner-Seed cell of reciprocal lattice. So, it is the Wigner-Seed cell of the reciprocal lattice is called the first Brillouin zone. Okay. So, what you imagine is that this is in K space. So, you have Kx, Ky, okay, and we are looking at this reciprocal lattice. Okay. Now, the second Brillouin zone is the set of points that are next to nearest from the first. So, all the points in this red region are closest to the center point, okay, than any other points. So, they are nearer to the center point than any other point. Okay. So, if you take all the points in the red region, okay, all the points, any point inside this red region will be closest to the central atom. Any point in the blue region will have one atom that it is closest to, and the second closest atom will be the center atom. Okay. So, this is called the second Brillouin zone. Okay. And you can similarly you can go and identify the third Brillouin zone. Now, the third Brillouin zone becomes a little more tricky in this case. Actually, the third Brillouin zone is just this region. So, all the points that have 2 other points that are closer to it than the central point. So everything is with respect to the central atom, and you can define the first, second, third, and you can go on. You can define the fourth Brillouin zone, the fifth Brillouin zone, and so on. Okay, I am just showing the construction. You should actually try this yourself and identify each of the Brillouin zones. So the first Brillouin zone in a 1D lattice, the first Brillouin zone was just a region from minus pi by a to plus pi by a. But in 2D, you can see it is a, for a square lattice, it is a square region. Okay. Now, the Wigner seed cell of so for an FCC lattice, for an FCC lattice, the reciprocal lattice is BCC. Okay. So, the reciprocal lattice of FCC is BCC, okay, and for a BCC the Wigner seed cell actually becomes quite complicated. So, the Wigner seed cell for BCC is not a simple cube, it is in fact a truncated octahedron. Okay. So, I will just tell what it looks like. So you have this kind of, so I mean you have these hexagons and these diamonds. Okay, forming a truncated octahedron. So, I am just showing it approximately, but it looks like this object, okay, which is a 3-dimensional like a ball. Okay, it like an octahedron, but you chop off the sides using this kind of piece, okay, and you get a truncated octahedron, which is the Wigner seed cell of a BCC. So, if you take a cell of this shape, okay, and just take it around any atom in a BCC, okay, if you keep repeating that, you will fill up the space. Okay, so the unit cell for this BCC is actually quite complicated. Okay. So now what do we have? If earlier if when we wanted to show bands, okay, we just showed energy as a function of k. Okay. But now you have energy as a function of k vector. Okay. Now, in this case you could just plot from minus pi by a to pi by a, okay, passing through 0, and that was the first Brillouin zone. Okay. Now, in this case, in higher dimensions, you have this truncated octahedron. Okay, let us say for an FCC lattice, okay, you have a BCC reciprocal lattice whose unit cell is a truncated octahedron. So, it is this truncated octahedron. I am just showing approximately the shape. Now, the center of this truncated octahedron, okay, so the center of this truncated octahedron is called so this point where k equal to 0, okay, k vector is 0, is called the gamma point, gamma. Okay. So, gamma is one point that is there right at the center of this unit cell. So, it is there deep inside. Okay. You have this gamma point. Okay. So, gamma is right in the center. I am not showing that point. Now in the case of one dimension, so gamma is like the 0 in 1D. Okay, so the equivalent point is a 0 in 1D. Okay, and now in 1D you just needed to go from 0 to pi by a. Okay, in this case things are more complicated, because you could go from the center of the Brillouin zone to the edge of the Brillouin zone, that is to the surface of this Wigner seed cell. But there are different points you can go. You could go to a point that is at the center of the hexagon. You could go to a point that is at the center of this rhombus, or you could go to a point that is located somewhere at the intersection of these points. You could go somewhere here, and in each case your band structure will look different. Okay. So, what is done traditionally is each of these points are given a name. So, this point is called X or chi point, this is called the L, this is W, and this is K. Okay, these are capital Greek letters. Okay. And so when you show the band structure, what is done is you typically show from the gamma point. Okay, you construct a path in reciprocal space. Okay, so the path in reciprocal space will tell you in which way you will show the bands. So here in the 1D case you just went from minus pi by a to plus pi by a. So here in 2D you will go from the gamma. So one example of a path is gamma to X to W to L to gamma to K to X. That means what you do is in your axis, okay, in your x axis, okay, you start at gamma. This is your k axis. So you start at the gamma point, then you go along. That means you go from the center, you come out to the point X. So you come out to the point X along a straight line. Then from X you go to the point W, again along a straight line. So let me show this path. So you have the gamma point, you come to X, then you come to W, then you go, then the path actually goes to L, okay. Then it goes back to the gamma point, which is deep inside, and then it comes to K, and then it comes to X. Let me show an alternate K point that is right here. Oh, sorry, no, this is the K point. So W to L to X, and then to K, and then back to X. Okay, so W to L to gamma, and then to K, and finally to X. So this is the path on which you are going to show the band structure, okay, and the band structure will be shown in this path. Okay. So if you look at a typical band structure of let us say an FCC, okay, so let us take an FCC. So the reciprocal lattice is BCC, okay, and the Wigner seed cell is a truncated octahedron. And again, so the band structure. So the important thing is that you have energy axis, okay, and this axis you have K, okay, and the variation of K, you start at the gamma point, that is at K equal to 0, and then you go to the X point, okay, and let me put a dashed line here. Then from X you go to W, and then to L. You just go along straight line paths. Okay. Notice that from gamma to W is not a straight line path. It is only gamma to x is a straight line path, x to w is a straight line path, w to L, L to gamma, back to gamma, gamma to k, and k to x. Okay, and I am just showing these lines for reference. Okay. Now, let us show the case of the free electrons. Okay. If it is nearly free electrons, there will be some perturbation. So you will have some band that looks like this, okay, from gamma to x, just like your free electron band. Okay. Now, this is going to intersect some other band, okay, and basically because these are not straight lines. Okay, so the band might be in a different direction. So, for example, it might intersect a band that makes it go like this. Okay. Now, there could be another band, okay, that goes from x to w, and that might go, say, this way. Okay. Now, there would be other bands. Let us imagine that there is a band that goes like this. This is again the gamma point. Now, you will have at this gamma point you will have this parabolic behavior, okay, and then from gamma to x you will have some other okay. And what I am trying to show is that you have a fairly complicated band structure. Okay, and I am again this is just schematic. Okay, I am just showing schematically what the typical band structure will look like, and what is amazing is that all this is got just from the free electron model. Okay, so this whole band structure that I am depicting here is all based on the free electron model. Okay, in the sense I did not take any interactions, I do not have any band gap, and you have several lines here. Okay, so you have all this this kind of complicated structure, and you will find this in if you read any journal or if you look in any book in solid state physics, you will find such things. And in fact, what would happen due to the non-free nature of the bands, okay, due to the non-free nature of the electrons, because the electrons are not truly free electrons. Okay, what you will get is this band structure will look slightly more complicated, gamma x w L gamma k x. Okay, what will happen is that each of these bands will actually because of the repulsion they will go to something like this. So, you will have a band structure that looks something like this. Okay. And it is actually in analyzing this band structure. So, this is if there is perturbation nearly free electrons. Okay. And in general the band structure will look something like this. Okay. So, the whole point of this whole exercise is to show how you can get bands both in 1D and in higher dimensions. Okay. And again I have just shown this schematically, but you can actually plot the free electron levels for this BCC, and you can actually show what the bands look like. Okay. So, with this I will conclude this fourth lecture of week 11. In the next lecture, we will do some practice questions. Okay, I will keep it a short lecture where we will basically just revise what we did and do a couple of practice questions. Thank you.